Hello, welcome to a new recording. So today we are going to do a real bicycle tour again. There was a risk of rain, but even though that was happening, I went out anyway. So today I'm going to react on a question that we had. Somebody asked about why there was such a long bicycle path next to 2 rows of trees, and I explained that this had to do with the water supply for Amsterdam, which is weird in Utrecht, but the Amsterdam water is coming from Utrecht, or actually below Utrecht in a place called Nieuwegein, which we are now. So we'll talk about it once we did the first stop, because the first stop, which is coming up on our left side, let me turn the map on because I forgot that. So there is the map. So you can see on our on the map that we are near the Beatrix sluizen, and the Beatrix sluizen are actually the sluizen, the locks between the lek, which is Dutch word for a hole, I guess, a leak, and Amsterdam Rijn Canal, so which is one of the main canals. And this is actually quite a busy system of sluizen locks, because it takes about 50,000 ships a year. So it's quite busy, so I'll make a stop there. So that means that there are on average about 140 ships a day. And it was extremely windy today, you can probably hear that in the noise. So it was fine going back, because I first had to go here from Utrecht. It was quite a headwind, but going back was quite nice. I'm mincing my words again and making a word salad, so sorry for that. But you can see the flags, how windy it actually is, right? So let's turn the map off for a second, so we can look around. So there are 3 locks. They started this in the 18th century, but in 1939 this one was built, and Princess Beatrix was just born, that's why it was named after her. Later she became queen, of course, and then she became a princess again. So that might be a little bit confusing, because some of the newer things named after her was basically after she became princess again. So we are looking at some of the old structure that was there from the old setup, and they replaced it. I think they fixed it in the 90s and they put in some new gears. It turns out, I didn't know that, but actually it's quite an important sort of building project. It's on the UNESCO list. Yeah, I still sometimes need to figure out where to put my finger. So, and I also have a hat on now, so we see that in the picture also. We are always learning. So they're actually quite sort of a nice building, so let me make it big again, because I'm looking out anyway. You can sort of see one of the ships in there. But the fact that 50,000 ships a year have to go through this is quite amazing in my opinion. That was the first thing. So the water from Amsterdam is taken a few hundred meters away from here. So that's where we are going next. And I'm supposed to go to the track on the other side, but I was not paying attention. So the good news is that I can tell you that I'm showing you the other side of the locks, and this tractor is passing us, because I'm actually going on the wrong path at the moment. So I have a few pictures to show you, but I'm not sure when I'm going to show you the pictures, because I think in the beginning of this video there's quite a lot of stuff to see on the big picture. So, but there you see the second part of the lock. Again, let me make it big so you can see that we're now cycling to the other part. So the longest lock is about 225 meters. The smaller ones are, I think, about 20 meters smaller. Yeah, 18 meters wide, and the other one is, I think, like 25 or something. And now I realize that I'm going the wrong way. But again, I will make the argument that I did it on purpose so that I can show you this side of the lock. I now figured out that I couldn't get to the other side. Because what we are doing is we are going to the starting point where the Amsterdam water is taken out of the lek. I have some pictures later on for that. And then we are going to try to follow a little bit how the tubes are going. And that kind of relates to the question that the person had, is why was there a highway in the middle of between these trees? Because it's a really long bicycle path which goes straight to Utrecht, which I'll also show you on the picture. But that again was the starting point, but the water is actually being pumped in this area and then pumped to the dunes, which I'll again show you also later, and from there it goes to Amsterdam. And it is a drinking water for about 1.3 million people, so that's quite a lot. And about 2/3 of all Amsterdam water is coming from this place in Utrecht. Which is kind of funny because, like I guess also with cities in other countries, there's always a bit of rivalry between the big cities, and it's kind of funny to read on the Amsterdam website that they have some of the best drinking water, and I'm like, okay, but 2/3 of it is coming from Utrecht, and the other part is coming from one of the polders. I will talk a little bit more about the history. So now I found the correct route into the small tunnel, because otherwise I could not get to the other side of the road. Again, when you make it big, you can see the sluice. They are balanced, so we're going through this little tunnel. Hopefully the new system is working well. For the technical people, I'm now using something called a green screen. But of course there's too much green in this picture, so we are using purple. So if you at times see a little bit of purple, then you know why it is. One last look at the building. You can also see there's quite a lot of windmills over here, and it was again extremely windy in this area. The route planner was doing okayish, and because some of the bicycle paths that I wanted to go on were not there or were closed, and some of the ones I actually started using were not on the map. So I do think this is probably the part of the canal where it gets closest to the water. I was actually surprised that there's no protection at all. I think we see solar panels on the top of the picture. I also see a small mistake that I might want to fix. I'm not sure why we are seeing, of course, hopefully they go away now. I didn't ruin the recording because I'm not sure why these one of them is going away and the other one not. Now it's going. Okay. I think I will leave it there and see it as a small mistake. So we are going to up front. There's a building where the water is actually taken out of the ground. While we are riding on this semi-bicycle path. But I don't want to miss it. Again, you see quite a lot of solar panels. But I think that was part of the water construction before. Where we are now at is the entrance. So I think they don't use it anymore. Or maybe that's part of the water cleaning. I don't stay here too much because I found out it was quite difficult where all the things are. And I think it kind of has to do a little bit with security. Given that some of these things supply waters to millions of people, not all the parts are very clear. But here's the water intake where the tubes start. Again, these are tubes, there are 3 of them. When we are on the bicycle path, and they are 1.5 meters wide, 1.2 to 1.5 meters wide. And I have some nice pictures of how they actually somebody goes into them to check up on them and clean out some stuff if need be. But this is the entrance point, and it's only a small building, but I will make the Google maps a little bit bigger when we are getting to that point. And later on I will show you some pictures. You already noticed that I have a little bit of trouble trying to figure out when to show you what. Except my fingers, I'm really good at showing you my fingers. Because I don't want to miss anything. It was so windy that it was quite difficult sometimes to get the camera on. I could cut this out. I'm not going to. Now I do realize it might be a good moment to show you the picture, but then I probably start moving again. So, and I also forgot to put in one of. Oh no, I didn't. And again, now we are moving again, so now I'm too late to do it anyway. And we see all these nice sort of ships. I didn't know that also, but it looks like quite a few ships are waiting here to, I'm guessing, to go into the locks, or this is a resting place. I'm actually not totally sure. On the helicopter view, we can see that you already see these basins. I think it's part of the cleaning process, and later on we see sort of weird buildings, and these weird buildings I will show you pictures of later, because that's where the water is actually being pumped out. So the building we just stopped, this is the beginning of the terrain, and this whole part is part of the area where the water is taken from the river. I think it's done through the ground, so it's part of the cleaning already. Because it's going to the dunes to basically use water being pushed through the sand is partly how they clean them. And we already see these, I'll make it bigger again, these buildings on top, which is like a backbone, and then on both sides you see sort of these cube or these bow construction. And we will see them later in the pictures, and there's where the pumps are that are being pumping up the water. I think the canal that we are seeing in between the 2 buildings is actually how they dump some of the water that they don't want to use, or I'm not sure. That's not my job. I just want to show you where the tubes are. So the tubes, now that we have seen this, it's probably a good idea to show you a little bit of that. So again, I'm still trying to figure out how to use some of it. So let me first show you what we are talking about. That's working. So this is the Netherlands, if you didn't know. And the Netherlands, of course, is mostly a river delta. And what we mean if the Netherlands is a river delta is that we can see Europe here. And of many parts of Europe, all the water flows, because we are flat and we have high ground. A lot of water is flowing into the Netherlands. So we have a lot of rivers, and all these rivers sort of end up in the Netherlands. And from there, in the middle of the Netherlands is Utrecht, and that's where we are now. So you can see all these rivers sort of coming together near Utrecht, and we are now at the lake, which you can see, and from Rotterdam it goes to from the direction of Rotterdam it goes to Utrecht, and from Utrecht it goes to Amsterdam again with the Amsterdam-Rijn canal, which is a canal that they made. So we are still sort of looping around. I also need to watch the picture if there's something interesting. So just another sort of view. So you can see that the water, we are going from Nieuwegein, basically through the whole country to the dunes, and there the water is being pushed back to Amsterdam. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Now to show you indeed the buildings we were talking about, let me... Again, I will only do this in the beginning and the rest we will just bicycle. But so here you can see again how the pipes are laid in the ground. They all start up with the leg, which we just pointed out, right? So over there. And what is interesting here, you see this, the whole tube system is going through the city, and you can see the really straight part in the middle, which was the bicycle part that he was asking about. And we are going to travel that later. And then we go all the way up to almost, I would say a little bit away from Breukelen. So, and then we turn around again. But you can see from there it goes kind of all the way to the side of the country. And then here in the dune area, so at the sea part, there the water is being released again, and then it uses the dunes to filter it. And then it goes to Amsterdam. So just a head view from the sluices, but I think we have already seen them. And these were these buildings I was just talking about, right? So you can see that and internally they let me find that picture. Internally they kind of look like this. Each of these thingies. And this was a lovely picture. You can see kind of the backbone I was talking about, and you can see the side parts which we saw on the Google view, these cupola thingies, where the water is being pumped up and then cleaned and part of the filtering. I like that he was walking with 2 buckets of water, I guess. Good. Oh, well. So these tubes are quite big, but we will show them later when we are on the big part. So let me put the map back on. And we're already 18 minutes in. So we're still next to the canal where I assume the tubes are. At least 2 of them are. The other one is going a different route, and they come together again at the bicycle part that we are talking about. They seem to be a little bit sketchy to tell you where actually they sometimes are. I'm guessing that has to do with security. Or maybe I just didn't look enough. So what we are going to do is when we are getting back to the long bicycle path, we will follow that. At the end we end up with the water with the small beach again, so the city beach. And then we turn around and we go to another new area where I'm also going to a watering cleaning setup. So a water cleaning facility, which is weirdly enough quite nice. And from there we are going to wander around that area a bit. I actually figured I found my new home until I checked what the price was. I will also show you some pictures from that. It was more expensive than I expected. It was also bigger than I expected. So we can't follow the track all the time, but you can still see if we make this bigger that we have to go inland a little bit because we can't find a bridge. And this was not on the map, so I'm kind of hoping I was going the correct direction. So the tubes might be here in the ground. Who knows? They are somewhere. It's nice that we can now see the speed in the picture because I'm assuming he's going quite slow. He's going 13 kilometers an hour. So it's not fast, but also not slow. The average speed of a bicycle in the Netherlands is 15 kilometers an hour. So that's about 10 miles an hour. And again, you can see the flags, how windy it actually is today. So the sluices are basically, I hope that's an English word, but the locks are the difference between one side and the other side. It's only about 40 centimeters. So it's not that much less than I expected. So I checked it twice, but it turns out to be 40 centimeters. So that's a little over 1 foot. And following the bridge, following the bus, over the bridge. So quite a few, up to now 2 people, but at least I'm happy with it. I reacted on my last video when I was talking about new technology and also how much time it costs. In a way, this is a good example. I'm making quite a few mistakes in what I'm saying and what I'm doing. I don't fix that, and I don't want to fix that because that would take too much time. So it's basically, if you're listening to this, then you are totally accepting me sort of mumbling and stumbling my way through the whole story. In the future, that's a kind of an open promise. Once YouTube starts supporting that, we can put a clean audio track there, so just the bicycle sounds without my voiceover. So that becomes an option that you can pick. Then I will enable that. For now, you're kind of stuck with me talking over the video. And here, if you go to the big view, you see again all these structures. And what looks to be kind of a newish part of that city in Nieuwegein. So I don't think we have done a long video into Nieuwegein yet. I will do that soon. But we are in the outskirts of Nieuwegein. I'm wondering if I should show you another picture. Well, we are waiting, but I think later on we will probably also have enough time to show you. Again, you can see on the big view, you can't see it, but I'm showing you that there's all these floating homes, quite a lot of them, floating boats basically, or homes, depends how you look at it. There's quite a few of them hidden in the whole country, and here you see a few of them again, together with 2 bridges coming up. So me pressing a button is easier than in the older way. So for the people who didn't watch my previous video, I can now sort of put the picture in different places, so I can place them by pressing buttons while I doing the voiceover. So I can make them turned off, but also make it big. It goes back to its normal place. So in the video on the right side we see, on the left side we see the buses, or one of the places where they keep the buses. And on the right side, if you see that high building there, that's actually the Ministry of Rijkswaterstaat. So they are responsible for all the water and infrastructure, and also basically all the other infrastructure that makes you go from A to B. This sounds a bit weird, but there's about 10,000 people working for the ministry. And since there's so much water, then it kind of makes sense that even the part of the early train system and the road system are also under their responsibility in that building. Because you always have to pass with water, I guess. That's one of the reasons why they joined it together. But this is their headquarters. So they also have a big saying in what we are showing today, and the tubes system, because they are responsible, for example, to taking 170 measurements each day in the different rivers in the Netherlands to check if the water quality is good enough to be used as drinking water, because basically all 18 million people in the Netherlands need to drink that, and of course then you have to make sure that you have kind of a clean starting point before you start filtering and cleaning it. So they have quite a big responsibility in building stuff, so basically also the roads. So if there's something on a highway, for example, coming up to a bridge, so that kind of makes sense, they are also responsible for that. So it's kind of weird, I guess that's historical, that we call them Rijkswaterstaat, so water responsibility. I guess tells you a little bit how important water is in the Netherlands. But they're actually also responsible for the roads and some of the other big infrastructure. So if you are talking about things like the Delta works, so the big protection against the water from the North Sea, for example, they are also responsible for that. They're responsible for the dunes and the dikes, I think. Probably some Dutch people will correct me in the comments. But you can kind of see how they unified that in one ministry. Now wondering if ministry is not a church thing and what's the English language. I always forget some of these English words when I'm doing a video. I guess it's the same with going on stage and losing half of your IQ. Anyway, it's a department of the government that's responsible for the water works and also the infrastructure that goes from A to B. So for the Dutch people, I'm pretty sure that's their headquarters, 99% sure. This is the Bol headquarters. So Bol.com is basically the Dutch counterpart of Amazon. It's probably the best comparison. You can get all kinds of small, cheap stuff there, and also expensive stuff, I guess. I'm pretty sure this is the headquarters on the left side. I think last time when I was actually trying to show you the Amsterdam Rhine Canal, so the canal next to us, I told you it was the busiest canal in the world. And it's about between 100 meters and 150 meters wide. And it has a lot of traffic. But last time we didn't see a lot. Luckily today we are seeing quite a few of them. And have to be, because only the locks that we were just at, they seem to be doing about 140 ships a day. I was also wondering if we are talking about these tubes, so the tubes are still somewhere around us. They might actually be below us. I have no idea, but I did notice, and I never noticed that before when I was bicycling here, is that unlike all the other red bicycle paths, these are actually slabs of concrete, which are only about 2 meters, I guess 1.5 meters long, not wide, I guess in this case. I'm wondering if there's done on purpose, that if something goes wrong with the water part, that they can actually lift it out easier. But again, I'm just sort of guessing. I have no idea if there's any truth in this. And now I stopped for some reason. For a few seconds I forgot why I stopped. But we're looking at a nice bridge. It doesn't look like it, but it was quite cold. I think it was about 5 degrees, and we had a storm yesterday. At least they promised us a storm. I didn't notice too much of it, but it was still quite windy. You can see it on the clouds. And I was actually having my raincoat on, which you might hear a little bit on the microphone, because it's a little bit more noisy. Because there was a more than 50% chance that I would get some rain during the ride. But like I said in the beginning, I decided to go anyway. So while we are here, let me show you some of the tubes we were talking about. So there is some of the tubes being put in. You can see how big they are. Because it's always difficult to sort of get your head around it. And again, these tubes are about, these two at least, so 3 total, they are about 50 kilometers from here to the dunes, and then the water is being pumped there and being let out. And then the water is being cleaned by, let me go back to the, oh, that's wrong. Don't panic. Is that correct? That's a mistake. So it's being pumped into the dunes, and from there it's being filtered and then going back to, for example, Amsterdam to be their drinking water. Which I'm still not sure why the water's being taken all the way from here. There has to be a good reason for it. I don't know it. My guess is because it needs to be clean enough to be used as drinking water for that area. And maybe some of the other points in the river system are not clean enough, because especially after the war, so the 50s, the 60s, I'm guessing that the water that was flowing through Germany, especially in the industrial part, might not have been clean enough. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure if there's any truth to this. But the reason why they are pumping it to the dunes to be cleaned is before that time there were not as many people, of course. The dunes themselves had enough water coming in, partly from the sea, partly from the rain, that it was enough. But it started to dry up, basically. There was too much water being taken out. And it also, of course, if you take water out and the salt stays in there, it also became too salty to be easy to clean. What I understand, and so they started pumping water into the dunes, and like I said, for Amsterdam, 2/3 of their water is being pumped from the place we just started. 1/3 is coming from one of the polders in the IJsselmeer. So they pump it here, partly cleaned already, and then the dunes clean it. I didn't read up on that today, but I think last time I checked it was like 3 months, the whole trip, when it starts here until it becomes drinking water on the other side. So it will be interesting to know how exactly this path goes, where the tubes are hiding. look, you can see how difficult some of these structures are, right? So you see over, under, and there's sort of a highway being dug in. You hardly notice it if you're bicycling. Anyway. And remember, this is also, we are now next to the entrance of the highway that goes underground, right? So if this is the first time you're watching one of the videos, I will make it bigger again. You see the red thingy on the top, which will be coming into your picture soon. I need to cut off the top part of the picture so I was seeing it before you were. As you can see that the highway is going into the tunnel because they don't want it to be going over part of that city. I will leave it big for a second. As you can see, if we're going further, that the area that I live and basically Rijn, that the highway is going below it. And if I don't forget, I will point out later where it sort of pops up again. So the road that we are seeing next to us is basically not the highway. The highway is a little bit further, like 10 or 20 meters further. Well, you can see it in the big picture. Because somehow, it's kind of funny, he thinks that I'm riding on the highway, and still this route planner is sometimes confused and thinks I'm a car. But you can see where the highway actually is, almost next to the small road. Well, I of course am on the bicycle path. So I'm guessing that the building on our, well, let me make it big again. So the building that we are seeing on the top is actually one of the big internet points feeding this area. And somewhere here, as all these pipes are being hidden, I guess it's running next to the building, because if you see the tree line, which we are now entering in the real picture, here's actually between these trees, between these two rows of trees, is actually where the tubes are. So again, 3 tubes feeding 2/3 of the water for Amsterdam. 1.3 million people total. One of them is 1.5 meters in, and the other 2 are 1.2 meters wide. So since we are on this path for a while, and we have seen this several times, although I do like the 3 hilly parts, and maybe you can still see it. You see the first one hill that we see, there's actually like a metal ring on top of it. That's actually some swings, so you can go on there and use the swings, and you're kind of floating high in the air, which is kind of neat. So let me show you I think one of the last pictures. So let me quickly also again show you the picture of the tube, right? You can see it's quite big, but I also got a picture of how they go inside of these tubes, which was shocking to me, but I guess they have to clean them. And here you can see that somebody is checking if everything is okay, and I think they're cleaning it. Seems to be reusing bicycle parts, as you can see, to go into these tubes and clean them out or do measurements if they're still doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I'm guessing that I'm not sure how often they go in and do that work, or maybe they do different parts. I have no idea how that works. Sometimes I just come to conclusions the moment that I start thinking about it. I'm guessing it's not that important that they are always running, because they are basically resupplying the dunes. So if they need to be turned off for a few days, I'm guessing that they can do that and clean a certain part or check a certain part. And there are 3 tubes, so they can probably play around with that. But it's kind of weird to think that somebody might be below these trees, sort of in these tunnels, doing the same 5 or 6 kilometers that we are now doing on the bicycle. But this is basically the origin story of why we are making this video. Because somebody asked why, actually he asked was there a road between these two tree rows? And did they take out the road? And then I had to tell them, well, that's not the case. There are water tubes there. So now you know. And as a result, it's one of my, I wouldn't say favorite, but one that I bicycle 2 times a day. This path is part of my normal loop. And yeah, it's an extremely long road, and they are not allowed to build on, if it's the first time you're hearing this, they are not allowed to build on top of it, because if they build homes on top of it and there's something wrong, then they can't access it anymore. So it's a very straight bicycle path as a result, because we are basically aiming towards the dunes, if you look at it from a bigger picture. So they want to, of course, keep it as straight as possible for as long as possible. And as a result, we have this nice bicycle path going through the city, which is weird. To have such a straight line through a city for no apparent reason if you don't know the story. It also means that if we are now seeing a bridge in front of us, knowing this story, you understand that the bridge, of course, they also need to make sure that the in-between part is still free, because if they have to get at that part of the tunnel or something goes wrong, that they have to make sure that the bridge is not have its pillars on top of it. I might be boring you, maybe not, but I'm kind of fascinated by how this infrastructure works. But you can see now the in-between area of this tunnel is much wider than you would normally build. But now we know, because there are tubes over there. Of course, at night all these lights are turned on. It's actually quite a nice sight. So by now I assumed I would have gotten wet already. I haven't, so I'm quite happy with that. Again, it's a bit bigger, so you can see how straight this line is, and you can see all the different building styles here, right? So unlike in some areas in the Leidse Rijn, I would say mostly in the beginning of the 90s, that area they kind of built homes the same way every time, and now there's much more variation. This is variation basically between blocks of areas. I think the thing now is to make variation almost every street. Again, let me make it big. You can see lots of these floating homes, and when we get back I will bicycle through that area and we'll see that a little bit back better. And that's why I figured I found my new home. But yeah, it was too expensive. Somebody commented about the Google Earth picture, and I agree. I think it's very interesting to see that, especially if I can make it easier, bigger as I'm doing now, because otherwise I had to do it during the editing later on. Now I can just press a button, since I'm doing it live with the voiceover. But I also like it because normally you can't see, although I like bicycle videos, you can't see what's actually more hidden in this world. And together with the subtitle feature, which we didn't talk about, and maybe I should have, but if you're still listening, look at the subtitles Bodo and Evar. You will find more information of where we are riding and what we are doing. Maybe I'll still put it on an overlay in the video, because I forgot to talk about it in the beginning. And especially if you hit the transcript button, there you can kind of get a summary about what is happening. Of course, when I'm showing you this part of this infrastructure, I would almost argue it's getting a tiny bit boring. You can almost go to the big map because there's more to see there. Although the GPS tracker is putting me on the other side again. But you can see this is how much water is in this area. But the goal of today is to show you how straight this line is. That also means that it's quite boring to view. But hopefully this top view will give you an impression about how much water there's actually in the different parts. And that's kind of nice. How many of these? We will be on the other side of some of these buildings in about 10 minutes. But it's kind of nice to see how much water is hidden in these different areas. I didn't check the prices of all these homes, but I would not be surprised that even here, because it's kind of in the city, that if you want to have a home next to the water and you want to have your small little boat there, that's what party your home prices go up. So we are now entering the Maxima Park again. If you're not the first time watcher, it's clear. Some hooligans painted over the map, so, but we still know where we are. Let's see how long it will take them to clean it. So we'll end up on the other side of this road, but I need to go to the beach part, because that's kind of for us the ending point of following the pipeline. But also it's the only way to get to the other side of the water. So I'm assuming that the two pipelines are on the left of us. At some point, of course, it has to go underwater anyway, so I'm actually not sure where it is now. We do know it can't be in the big water area we are sort of heading up to. Let me make it big again for a second. So that beach area, the city beach, and the water area is basically all the sand that they had to take out to make some of the homes higher so that they are not in danger of being flooded with the climate change. And parts of that is 45 meters deep, so there's no way that the tubes are below there. So they might be under this beach. I have no idea. I could have looked it up, but I don't want to share that information, not because I'm that paranoid, but I don't. There's probably a reason why they are a little bit iffy in putting all that information online. Some parts you can find, other parts it's kind of unclear where these are. And maybe if you look very carefully, then you can find it. But when I was searching for some of this information to talk to you about, I actually found documents kind of talking about the risks and the risk factors and stuff like that. So. There's a problem with infrastructure, we depend on it. So let me make it big again. As you can see the beach club. Well, we are slowly turning around. And you see next to the beach on the other side is the highway. And also start of the industrial part. Now on the other side of. I do wonder now looking at it if the two tubes are not in that in-between area between these two small waterways. That could be it. Why would they have made it like this? Interesting, right? I'm guessing the tubes are over there. Who knows? Kind of makes sense if you see the rows again of the trees. maybe one day I will figure it out. So the good news for me that most of the bicycling was with the wind on my back, but this part you might hear it on the microphone. We have the wind coming towards it again. So coming up in this corner, you see where we are going. There's a water cleaning facility over there, wastewater, and I wanted to go over that little bridge which I'm now looking at. You see it over there. When I looked at it, it has like stairs and it was quite steep, so I figured, okay, let's not do it. So you can walk there, but on purpose, I think they didn't put like a bicycle track there, so that bikes would stay off it, because I wanted to walk to the other side. I decided right about now that I would cycle around it. Interesting. You see these solar panels over here? They are not yet on the Google information. They are not over there. But they are there in reality. Just they're trying to fill up pots with solar areas. So we are looping around the facility. Again, I could have stopped the filming here, but I want to show you. Again, this facility has nothing to do with, as far as I can tell, with the two supply lines to Amsterdam. We are not giving them our dirty water. It would have been funny, but I don't think that's... but you can see these three sort of... there are 5 total, 2 closed and 3 open. It's part of the process how they clean it, and then they return it to the other water, I guess. And it's clean enough to go, I guess, into the Amsterdam Rijn Canal again. One thing I kind of like when looking at these videos, of making these videos, is that I see a lot of Google helicopter view, let's we all call them now. And it's amazing how many solar panels there are hidden in different areas, and actually quite good to see. So I guess batteries is now more of an issue, but at some point you can see how we should be able to get into balance with our supply and getting energy from the sun and wind instead, and water instead of oil. So this is the other side, and I did decide to get off and get on the bridge and film a little bit. And you see the homes from the other side. If you remember, we were on the other side when I said, okay, we'll be on the other side for 10 minutes. We are now here. But you can see if you are living here, you have kind of a nice access to water. It doesn't feel that you're living in the middle of the city. I'm taking a little bit longer because it was so windy that I didn't want my bicycle to drop over. So I had to make sure that it was stable. I was wondering if I could bike over this. Clearly it was wide enough, but I didn't expect the stairs on both sides. Could not see that before I was going. And I've never been here before. It's kind of interesting that they made this walkway. wonder why they did this. I can't look below it, but now I'm thinking maybe they did it. I think it's actually a way to keep, because on the other side, of course, people have boats. And I think they don't want to have boats in this part of the water. So I would not be surprised that below this bridge there's also a first filtering system or a way, at least to keep boats out. But again, I'm just sort of guessing. So walking back again. We don't talk a lot about it, but of course if you own a car here, you have to learn how to drive, and it's quite an extensive sort of thing. It will cost you a few $1,000s. You have to take quite a few lessons, and I'm convinced that in the next few minutes we will see somebody in one of their first lessons, my guess, because he's going really slow and stopping and starting, and I was like, okay. So when I put the camera back, I should now remember that they have a head on. You can see the lesson car there. Not sure why I'm doing a 360. And it was just standing still there. So let me, for a second, make it big again so you can see it one more time. How nice these homes are connected to the water. And there we have the learning car again. You see stopping and starting and really going slow. So I was waiting a few seconds to give her a head start. It was a her, by the way, so that's why I'm saying it. And then I decided to pass anyway and keep an eye in my mirror. What we see here, that quite a lot is that the industrial areas are quite close to homes on the other side. And again, you see the bus also comes here. Yeah, I guess that is nice. I am not saying that this is the best view if you're looking from your garden. But the good news, I guess, is that they also can't build anything here in the future because they're already buildings. So you know what you're getting into when you're buying one of these homes. Unless you're this poor. Well, I'm not sure they're poor, but this family, because they had their home way before, and then all the other buildings got built around. Again, if you go to the top view, you can see there's water also coming from the other side, and this is actually a bus lane. At least that's what it says on the bridge, bus lane. Ah, that's why there's also a bus. See, this is a structure where a bus can pass, but not normal cars. I figured that when I was riding there, but the word bus lane on top of the bridge confirms it. So then I decide to loop a little bit through the city, and then I find my new possible home if I could afford it. Well, I'm not sure, but it was interesting to think about it for a second. So when we get out of this area, I will show you some pictures of that home because I prepared that. If I can find it back. So this is the home I was talking about. And it looks quite small, but I was like, okay, that's quite nice, but it's way bigger than you think. I will show you some pictures later. And it was also way more expensive because I'm going to drive next to a few of them, and one of them was for sale. So you can see that it put some infrastructure, and these are floating homes, right? So it's kind of nice. And I found out that actually some of the things coming in from the city, of course, sewage and water, but these are actually heated by the same electrical plant that my home is heated by. So they don't even have to have a heating system. It's also supplied by a tube into these floating homes, which is kind of interesting. You wouldn't expect that to be part of that infrastructure. So I decided to go here so that we can give a closer look. And actually you see the subtitles now says Julie Steinstraat 16 and 17 is for sale. So we should get a sale sign over here somewhere. Maybe you already passed it. And I was not paying attention. No, I think it's upcoming. But you can see and the funny thing is that there are actually 2 stories to these floating homes. And it doesn't look like it, but I will show you proof. Oh, this one was for sale. So if you want to buy it, I will show you some picture later on. It's only about $700,000, 650,000 euros. But I think it's too nice a view to show you these pictures now, but I will do it in a few minutes. And again, if you go to the big view, you can see that they're all connected to the water, and there we see the bicycle path with the tubes below it. You see that we are physically not far away from it. Doesn't look like it, but I'm stopping. Why am I stopping? I have no idea why I'm stopping here. Oh, this might be a good moment to show you some pictures. So let me show you some pictures of that home. So there it is. And you see already bottom windows. There actually it goes quite deep underwater. You can see I will just quickly show you because they have a lot of pictures. So I'll quickly show you some pictures from my iPad. It's kind of nice. Whole wine setup. You can see there's stairs going down. 2 toilets, bathrooms. You can see here the below the water line are the three bedrooms. Kind of neat, right? Here you see the outside again. If you look at it, it looks really, in my opinion, quite small. But you don't see how big it is. It's 130 square meters and 2 floors. So we are now, I wouldn't say nearing the end, but getting closer to the end. Let me put the map back on because we can, oops, that's the wrong one. This will happen more. So we are on this road to the jazz area. I think it's called the jazz single. And all the streets have names of jazz artists or pop artists or whatever you want to call it. I know one street is called Nora Jones, and so I guess there will be Miles Davis Street or something. And we are getting closer to the hospital, which is in front of us. So this is not really a bicycle path, although it says bicycles allowed, but I saw people walking ahead of me near the hospital, so I decided to go on the main road. Not to bother them. And from the outside they look like big sort of building blocks, but you can see that all of these blocks have internal areas with some green and where they store the cars. And on the other side you see how big this hospital actually is. It's the same hospital that we visited I think 2 weeks ago. And actually I visited last week to do some internal checkups. So this is basically also, air quotes, my hospital. So I can already tell you that we didn't get any rain during this trip, which was a bit of luck. And we are now entering... I did stop quite a few times. No idea why, I can't remember. And only a few hours ago. Anyway, so we are circling back into the area of Parkwijk, which is the area that I live. From the hospital, which is over here. You can't hear this, but it's raining outside now, quite loudly. But I'm happy I'll already make a video on Friday. Maybe I have enough time to make another one this weekend. But I also have to plan a trip to Sint Maarten, which is a small Dutch island in the Caribbean. And there's the new city center that we have seen a few times before. I don't think this is always true, but you never know. I kind of assume that some of you have watched some of the other videos. Although I don't think we have ever ridden this part. But let me make it big on the map again. You can see that the train tracks again. There on the left, right, you see the city center, the new city center. Water on the left side continues all the way to our normal starting / end point. You notice that water is a big thing in most Dutch cities and also in Utrecht. So I'm taking this bridge on purpose just to detour the part at the end. We will visit this area soon. This is a tiny bit newer than Parkwijk, which we made a video about before. I have to be careful in claiming things too early, but I think the new technology is working. So when I stop talking in a few minutes, then also all the overlays should be done. So it's then part of the video. Maybe I should say it more carefully. I have a second video which is basically purple in the background and the Google Maps and the pictures are on top of it, and that I can easily, with the technology called green screening, although this should be called purple screening, I guess. I can mix them together and hopefully it will work. Of course I should not be on my bicycle here, and they were clearly She was looking at me and then also, why are you here? So I decided to be nice and just to stand still for a few seconds. Pretend that I was just looking around. And it was always my plan to stop here. But realistically, I was just giving them a head start. I always feel a little bit guilty if I take these clearly not made for bicycle paths. Just to show you a little bit more green. No, I didn't ride over the little dog. It just looks like I'm really close, but in reality it was quite a distance. So people who are watching often, they probably already recognize we are near the end point, which is on the other side of this water. But we are now 90 degrees turned. But if we can, why not finish up at the same ending point that we do on most videos. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. And now you know how the water comes from Utrecht to Amsterdam. If you are there to visit after a day of boozing, you know where the clean drinking water is coming from. So thank you and see you in the next one. Bye bye.